coming to you from the beautiful and fall-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast not only here on YouTube, but on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Happy to be here with you guys on this beautiful September 9th, 2025. This is going to be a recap video from the thrilling Monday Night Football game between the Bears and the Vikings, with the Bears pretty much getting upset after having the lead and then losing to the Vikings. So definitely want to check in on that game. The final score was 27-24 Vikings. So definitely want to hop into that and touch bases with that. But before we do, I want to make sure we give a shout out to a couple friends of the show. First and foremost, guys, you know it's NFL season. You know it's that season to get out with friends, get out with the family, get to games, make the most of this time of year, especially while the weather's nice and not inclement. I definitely implore you to check out StubHub, the #1 leading seller in the world for tickets to live events, shows, and concerts. Right now, as you can see on the screen, there's a promotional events right now for NFL tickets. Definitely implore you to check that out. The Creative ID link is here on the screen. Also, if you're looking to get to the U.S. Open, like I said, the U.S. Open's over. I do apologize for that. However, but if you're looking to get some college football tickets or NBA tickets or get your WNBA going on, I definitely implore you to check that out. Creative ID links are there available for you on the screen. Also, as well, for my avid gamers out there, if you're looking to make the most of your PlayStation experience or looking to just add a couple of things to your system or your console, I implore you to check out the description box of this video for PlayStation Direct. PlayStation Direct has everything that you need to immerse or enhance your Sony PlayStation experience. I definitely implore you to check it out. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys, so we're going to jump into this episode. Like I said, we're going to do a recap of the Monday Night Football game, which was Bears and Vikings. Vikings pulling out the late victory, 27-24. Gutsy win by the Minnesota Vikings. This game was very deceptive. You know, midway, like going into the third quarter, you were kind of like dozing, falling asleep a little bit, like what the fuck is going on? I had my mom and a couple friends, text me like, what the hell is going on with this? It just seemed very perplexing. It did seem like it was going to be, the Bears were just going to pull away, rookie quarterback on the road, veteran defensive coordinator using his tactics and pressures to get to him. It just seemed like it was going to just cavalcade all in on the Vikings, and that was essentially going to be the game. That damn sure was not the case. JJMccarthy put on a fucking show. I also like what I saw from Caleb Williams as well. So we're going to touch on all of that now. So first, starting off the game, going into it, you got to love the game plan that the Chicago Bears had. They forced McCarthy into a lot of 3-and-outs, forced him to try to read and scan the field. I got to give Kevin O'Connell credit. He had a game plan. They stuck to it throughout. I'll touch on that before the end of this video, but there was a clear game plan, a conscientious game plan from Kevin O'Connell to make sure that this young guy wasn't feeling overwhelmed. Dennis Allen deserves full credit for the first 3 quarters, at least, of what his defense was able to do against McCarthy, frustrating him, putting pressure on the offensive line, knowing for a fact that you're down 2 corners, knowing for a fact that they got Justin Jefferson out there, they got Adam Thielen out there, they have Hawkinson out there. If you're the Chicago Bears, this was the perfect game plan to have. Again, you would have hoped 4 quarters, but at least for 3 quarters, it was a perfect game plan to have to stymie and stunt this Minnesota Vikings offense. But you could kind of see that the Bears, Caleb Williams, he was finally getting going. He was in a rhythm. Fan base was behind him. You could see the crowd roaring, team energy. I mean, it was just flowing. But there were some points of stagnation there. Definitely, right before halftime, where the Bears had to settle for a field goal, didn't really, it was kind of a weird play where, Caleb had went for like 10 straight completions, and then, he couldn't convert to 4th and 3, turnover on downs, it was just real weird. Then, the Vikings wound up getting points before halftime, kind of, looking back at it, changed the course of a lot of things. Then you go a little bit further after halftime, you just felt like if J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings offense could get something going, they would be in there, because their defense, Brian Flores, credit to this man, the Van Ginkels, the Javon Hargraves, the Jonathan Grenards, these guys were putting on a fucking show last night. The pressures they were applying to Caleb Williams throughout that game, especially late in the game, were tremendous and was one of the deciding factors into why the Minnesota Vikings won. But you just felt like going into the middle of that, beginning of the second half, the Vikings had to do something offensively. And then they started, you saw O'Connell still trying to take the pressure off the young guy running the ball, which when you look back at it was the best game plan ever, the best thing that O'Connell could have done, staying with that running game, using Mason, using Jones, making sure that they just couldn't just key in on this guy in passing situations. It was an impressive game plan. Obviously, then they started getting, Justin Jefferson involved. So then all of a sudden, they go for the 2 points, kind of still flailing in the wind there, climbing back in it, but not really there. That third quarter for Chicago destroyed any type of offensive life, energy, or production that they may have had. It was by far one of the worst quarters I think I've seen in a long while. Maybe, and people aren't going to look at it in magnitude. It was almost as bad as Brock Purdy's third quarter in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs a couple years ago. I mean, it was bad. I mean, you're watching it. All you got to do is score another touchdown. You put this team away. They just couldn't put them away. I mean, and I'm telling you this because I watched it. They're hanging around. They're hanging around. They're hanging around. 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs. At one point, there was a situation where the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm looking here at the notes because I had to remember my notes from the game. Minnesota's defense was making it interesting. And then all of a sudden, you got McCarthy throws an interception, pick six. You just really felt like, all right, Minnesota's going to lose this game. And then all of a sudden, boom, they get going. And then the pick six, which I think really, the interception for Minnesota really changed everything. McCarthy was able to get downfield and get the touchdown to Aaron Jones, made the game 20-17. And at that point, the note that I wanted to highlight was, at that point, you had 6 straight 3 and outs for the Chicago Bears. So that third quarter, and like I said, I'll pull up the box score stats for my audio listeners. For my visuals, guys, you'll see this on the screen. For the box score stats, though, it was pretty simple. They literally didn't do shit in the third quarter. And I don't understand, Ben Johnson, it was the coordination for Ben Johnson and for Caleb Williams. This was going to be the night where they were going to get their roses. It was weird. It was weird. And I stand corrected. I do apologize. They scored a touchdown in the third quarter. However, those 6 straight 3 and outs going into the fourth was what kind of stagnated things. So I apologize for misspeaking, but I want to make sure I got that accurate for the box score results. The Bears did score a touchdown in the third quarter. However, it was the 6 straight 3 and outs going into the fourth that kind of stagnated things, plus the interception, which compounded the fact that just put the Vikings back in the game. Needless to say, it came down to J.J. McCarthy just having to win the game, and the kid won it. Gutsy performance. He definitely won his team over. I think both guys last night won their teammates over, where you feel like you could at least trust these guys to lead you through a game and win a game. But it was definitely a choke by the Chicago Bears. The Bears had this game. This is very reminiscent. Not as epic, but definitely as reminiscent as the Bills-Ravens Sunday night. It just shows you in today's NFL, a game is never really truly over till it's over. You have to really dot your I's and cross your T's. Take nothing for granted. It just, it was crazy-ass game. Got to give Minnesota a shitload of credit. Excellent way for McCarthy to respond. Excellent game plan by Brian Flores and O'Connell, offensively and defensively. They stuck to it and were able to pull out the victory. And it just, Caleb Williams even had a nice little drive late down the field where he thought maybe he was going to kind of put some points on the board, couldn't do it. But my key takeaways ultimately from this game, Minnesota's defense is not to be fucked with. They are legit. I know the Packers' defense is legit, but Minnesota's defense is fucking scary. You just saw it as the game was going on. They were starting to put it together. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. Number 2, J.J. McCarthy fought through early game jitters and adversity, and he looks legitimate. I have to say. It kind of gave you, you'll see here on the screen for my YouTube viewers, Mike Silver wrote this in The Athletic. This was the reason as to why they didn't go after Aaron Rodgers, and this is why they kept the young guy around and allowed him to, earn his keep and earn the mantle and earn the job. So got to give him credit for that. And last but not least, my last takeaway, this is the Bears beating the Bears. We talked a lot of shit about the Ravens choking and the Ravens being choke artists, but the Bears have been known to do this too. Can't even win when they had to lead for 3 straight quarters, which is just, I mean, frightening. Keep this in mind, guys. That's 10, 17. You're up 17-6 going into the fourth quarter. And they scored 21 points. You scored 7. So it just shows you the Bears being the Bears. Their offense looks better. Got to be happy about that. Defense obviously battling injuries, so still yet to be seen with all that. But as the game went on, it just shows you that they still have a lot of work to do in Chicago before they start throwing parades or coordinating Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams as the second coming of God there in Chicago. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys, for the Monday Night Football recap. As always, I love you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll have another video coming out prepping for the Thursday night preview for the Commanders and Packers. Definitely stay tuned for that. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.